Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. It's been a while. I have been traveling, but thankfully I'm finally at my setup. It's 5 in the morning. I'm jet lagged as shit, so I got nothing better to do than make a tier list of all the episodes in season 3. Yep, we're doing a tier list for season 3 that just ended. Now, while everything is fresh in my mind mostly, I'm going to do this tier list because, well, it'll be as unbiased as it gets. And we're going to go worst up rather than doing S tier. But I think I will go back later and then do like an S tier ranking. I want it to be like numbered because I think it makes it more interesting. Let's start with episode 1. Actually, now that I think about it, this tier list makes no fucking sense. Wait, why is it numbered? 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I realized that like it would make no sense from the perspective of going numerically up if I had it like that as a list. So we'll just go back to the classic S tier, and then as like the rankings do matter, by the way. So if the things are in S tier, it's gonna be like the one at the farthest left is the best. This is fucking scuffed already. Let's just start. Episode 1, where did it go? And it's fucking here. Okay. Episode 1, I think, is really good. I think it's a bit underrated, and I will probably shuffle these around as I go through it. I think the biggest problem I have with episode 1 in particular, and it's a relatively big problem, and it's kind of what stops it from being S tier for me, is that while the atmosphere and the vibes and the mood and the music and even the animation for the most part are perfect, I would say, like really, really good, incredible work. Like that scene of Yuji jumping, out of the building with the curses like flying behind him and stuff, and it's really good. It's really cool. The scene of him and what's his face, Choso, talking at the staircase, that's like still one of the best, in my opinion, like looking directed scenes in the show. And so there's a lot of good. It's just that like there's certain moments that make no fucking sense, and that kind of takes away from it, right? Like it starts as a flash forward of Yuji and Yuta fighting, but then when you go into the actual cinema, it makes no sense because like how the fuck did we get from point A to point B? Like let me just get the clip real quick. All right, I'm back, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. I kind of got sidetracked and just started watching gambler videos for like the past 15-20 minutes. But I've got the episode here, and I want to kind of go over the problems like with the continuity of the episode. Right now, this part is, I think, clearly meant to be more so metaphorical rather than literal. But here, this is like the beginning of the episode where Yuji is with Choso, but then he's not actually with Choso. Like, what are we doing here, right? The only thing I can think of, no, there is actually nothing to think of. This just makes no sense because here's Yuji. I'm gonna mute that so I don't get fucking nuked by Shueisha. Here's Yuji with this curse, right? And then he runs out. Same curse. The building is like already torn apart from whatever the fuck happened. Yuta's in the other building stalking him. And then Yuji's running away. There's like another shot here that's kind of weird. It just doesn't lead very well into the action. Trying to find it. All of a sudden, Yuji just kind of teleports down at the bottom. Like I just don't get what's happening in this entire opening sequence. Like I've seen people try to explain it, but it never makes sense, in my opinion. Then he gets grabbed by the curse. Yuta fucking flies in and gets him. They end up in the theater. And then this is where the prologue part of the episode ends. And then later, when Yuji and Yuta actually start like running away from each other, let's see. They start running. Then we cut to Naoya and Choso for a little bit. Then we're back to the theater, I guess. The curse is like, this is the curse from the beginning. And now we're back here. It's just, it makes no sense when you watch it. I was so confused when I watched it for the first time. And that's kind of the only problem that I have with this episode in particular. I think the fight itself with Yuji versus Yuta is largely okay. But I do think they were probably rushed to make this episode because this one and episode 2 did have to come out like way earlier as a theatrical release. And so it makes me wonder if these episodes were not actually fully finished by the time they were meant to be uploaded. I don't know how strongly I feel about that because the Blu-ray I don't think changed anything, but it does feel like there are certain things that just make no sense in regards to the episode. This sword fight scene, for example, has like some moments that are a little wonky. This part I think is fine. I like the way he whips the sword around. Like I like this. I've kind of grown on it. I like how slow and methodical it almost is. It's not my preferred kind of animation style. It's a bit too slow for what's happening, but yeah, I think the rest of the episode's really good. Like I said, this scene of Yuji and Choso at the whatever the staircase, like this is just cinema, bro. Like this is just beautiful. The stained glass, like this shot alone, in my opinion, kind of makes this episode really worth it. Like this entire scene with Yuji and Choso is just perfection. It's a really, really good. What is he doing? Anyway, I think I'm gonna keep it at A tier for now. I don't think it'll go lower than B. I don't think so. All right, episode 2. I think it's still an A tier, but I think it's better than episode 1. The campfire scene is really good. The Choso versus Naoya fight, I think, is perfect in terms of its animation and the adaptation. I think, yeah, for the most part, I think it's a really good episode. I think it's a bit underrated. I feel like I don't hear people talking about it much, but I think it's a really good episode. It's strongly directed. I think the voice acting between Yuji and Megumi with the campfire scene is really, really good. And not much happens beyond the fight with Naoya and Choso, but they nailed that fight. I mean, it is probably some of the most expressive sort of animation that I should probably turn the music on, that I've seen out of JJK in a while, and it was really fun to see in the cinema. And the only problem with it is that the version that we got for the TV release, or that one scene of Naoya outrunning Choso's blood, it just sucks compared to the movie. The movie was way clearer. You could see the animation much more nicely. Much nicer. Yeah, I keep fucking it up. You could see the animation much. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. You could see the actual animation way better in the cinema release, and then the actual TV release just had way too much like composition effects that really were questionable. Like having the light flicker on and off, basically. I get it in concept. I think it was like the blood was covering the lights as it was going through the tunnel, and like that was kind of the implication, I guess. I don't know, but like maybe I understand the point of it. It's just it did not look that good in the TV release, but I still think it's is it a better episode? I don't know. I think it might not be. I think it's just that the vibes, episode 1 just thrives off of vibes and mood for me, so it might actually be a little bit better. Episode 3, C to D tier. I mean, look, as far as exposition episodes go, it's gonna be hard for you to get an episode as good as this one for Jujutsu Kaisen, because visually they did like the most they could out of what they had, which was a bunch of characters in a white empty space talking. And from the perspective of like a manga reader watching it in the anime, I think it's a really good episode in the way in which it adapted the source material. However, as an actual episode and with what it does for the plot, it's just boring. When you like, this is not an episode I think that you can rewatch, whereas every other episode I have happily rewatched. It's just that this is a one and doneer, and in the context of the rest of Jujutsu Kaisen, like you don't really get more of those episodes. Like I don't think there are any other episodes in the series that are as one and done as this one, and that's kind of a shame because they clearly put a lot of effort into this episode, and the visuals hard carry it, and they're great. Some of the best in the series. Like the effects work in this episode was phenomenal. It's just that like it wasn't that interesting, and like content wise just wasn't that interesting. And even me, who's someone, I like these kind of episodes, like as long as they're not all the time. I kind of like Gege's overly verbose writing style sometimes. I just find it fun, so I don't really mind these episodes in concept. It's just that like compared to everything else, this is not that great of an episode. Maki versus the Zenin clan. I mean, this is our first S tier. Beautiful episode, beautiful visuals, beautiful animation, great music. I know, okay, the music part is a bit contentious because of the choices that they did, but I'm gonna be honest, the more I watch this episode, the more the music grows on me. I feel like people overreacted to like they made it sound like the soundtrack that played during the Maki versus the fucking jobbers was like the entire track for the whole episode, when the first half with her and Mai talking at the beach was a beautiful track. It was phenomenal. And then the way in which it carried on to her killing Ogi, like that was great. And then the title drop, of course, like that was really, really good. It's just that like then you get like a kind of quiet sequence of her fighting a bunch of the randoms, like a few of them, and she beats them up, and it's like quiet. There's no music playing. And then we get the famous song that like everybody seems to, well, not everybody, but a lot of people seem to hate. I watched a bunch of like anime only reactors reacting to that scene, and what I gathered was that most of them either just didn't have anything to say about the music, like they didn't make a point to mention it, or the majority really were like, oh, I like this music. And when I watched it, that was not kind of the vibe I envisioned for the scene. But the more I rewatch it, the more I kind of like it. And then also the rest of the tracks are really good. Like the super upbeat and like happy track kind of when the Hay show up, where it's like na 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 na, like that track is really funny when you consider it, when you take it from the perspective of these guys genuinely think that they're the good guys. So here they've got like this backing track that makes them appear like heroes. They're here to save the day, just to get fucking obliterated by Maki. Like it's funny in an ironic way, and that kind of improves the vibe of the episode like considerably. And then, but right after that, it's only like 10 seconds, I think, like 10, 15, 20 seconds. And then right after that, we get like a normal track when Maki actually goes to fight them. And then her track with Naoya, like they are all really good. So I don't know why people kind of wrote off this episode like musically because of one track that plays for like 2 minutes, when the rest of the episode had beautiful music. And then the visuals, I mean, I don't know. I think overall I don't think it beats out the big one in terms of action animation, but it is very polished. It is very nice to look at. I think it is our first S tier. All right. Episode 5 is this one with Hikari. I think this is the top of A for me. It might get up to S tier. We'll see how some of the other episodes go. I think this episode is just directorially very, very strong. Actually, there's not much I can say here. The only thing I want to say here is the last 4 minutes of this episode is cinema. Like, there's no other way around it. Let me explain this from the perspective of just like a production, right? This is 12 episodes. They spent like a shit ton of time in pre-production. The fact that a TV anime can have an almost 4-minute scene that is like rotoscoped and basically full of just character acting from one angle. I know that doesn't seem like too crazy to some people, but from like a creative point of view, that is like, there's a reason anime don't tend to do that. Because when you have a lot of cuts, you delegate those cuts to separate people, right? Like if you have a 10-second clip and has 3 cuts, right? 4 seconds, 2 seconds, and then another 4 seconds. You've got, animator A on the first 4 seconds, animator B on the 2 seconds, and then animator C on the other 4 seconds. When it's one continuous shot, I imagine that it's the work of just a handful of animators doing it. I don't actually know who does the key animation for that sequence, like who goes over and traces it. I'm not sure, but it's just inherently harder. And there's a reason why scenes like this don't exist in other anime that come out like seasonally, because it's just too time consuming. It's too expensive. Like that level of kind of experimentation and willingness to just do something completely unique to Jujutsu Kaisen is what I really appreciate about this adaptation, because it's just, I love that JJK has gotten an identity that separates it from other shonen. Like it feels larger than life because of scenes like this. Like you're not just watching a shonen, you're watching a shonen that has like character to it. And that's what I love about the anime adaptation for JJK. So I think this episode's like kind of sleeper, like underrated. Not much happens. This is where Yuji fights Panda, which is awesome. So that fight is definitely, like that portion definitely makes up for it a little bit in terms of action. And then the final scene, yeah, like I said, it's perfect. Episode 6, I believe. I might actually move this down. Do I like it more? No. It kind of I think actually, Yuji's speech about being a cog and like his interaction with Akari is really good. I think the fight with Kirara is very strong for such a minor fight. It does get bogged down by the explanation like dump where it's like, oh, I know your technique and it's the Southern Cross and here's like all the different ways it could work. I like it for a first viewing. It's just that like I cannot, like, rewatching it and stuff, it becomes less and less interesting, whereas certain other episodes I have rewatched multiple times and they don't lose any of their entertainment value. But when you've got like a super exposition heavy character like Kirara, where you need to explain every little bit of her technique or else you're lost, I guess, it becomes a little not as interesting. But the actual animation in this episode is pretty good for what feels like a relatively low priority episode. So I think B is pretty fitting. Now, episode 7. This is Yuji versus the helicopter goons, and it ends with him and Megumi being led to Higuruma, right? I think it's a little bit better than this. I'll have to rearrange them as I go, but I think the action animation is better in this episode. The action animation is better in this episode. And there is one scene, I think it has to be this episode, where they're walking down the staircase and the camera is following them as they're talking, which I found really, really good from the perspective. Again, it's like JJ Cages does not feel like a seasonal anime with some of the decisions that Goshozono makes regarding the direction, because what do you mean? Instead of, like, in the manga, they're just sitting on a staircase, right? And talking about their plan. But Goso's like, fuck that. Let's just have them go walking down the stairs as they're leaving the building and they're talking, and the camera is not just like in static places, it's following them as they're going down. It's just incredible work. And then I think the actual fight animation between Yuji and the helicopter gang is pretty cool. I think it's in this episode. It has to be, because episode 7 is Higuruma, so it has to be, or episode 8, I mean. Which, yeah, no introduction is needed. This is a phenomenal episode. There's a reason they had one guy doing all the key animation for this thing. They understood the assignment for making Higuruma sort of a compelling character, because Higuruma stands like very much on a different level to the other Culling game players in regards to his kind of narrative importance, not because of necessarily things he does during or later, but rather just how much effort he gets put into his character. Like, he gets a whole chapter and a half of backstory, and they just absolutely nailed that in this episode. I mean, I still think, what did I call this episode? Did I call it the best directed episode, or was it the other one? It was the other one, I think. No, I have no idea. Let me go to my channel real quick. Okay, I did call it the best directed episode in Jujutsu Kaisen. I think I still agree with the sentiment. This entire episode is just really, really good. And then the way it ends with Higuruma opening his domain expansion, and then the domain has like all these different Easter eggs kind of for what you got to see. Let me actually see where I have that episode. Okay, I had to kind of remind myself, this is absolutely the best directed episode. I think even still, like, these shots just, they're absolutely killer. The bathtub scene is great. The voice acting is phenomenal. I love the way it's cutting in between him and Higuruma and Yuji and Megumi and Reggie. The music is perfect. I don't want to play it because I get fucking my ass eaten alive. And then like this whole fucking scene where it goes red and Yuji's like, oh, and then the judge man comes out of the bathtub. Oh, it's so good, dude. It's so good. That's what I mean. Like, it's just, I hate this player, dude. Media Player is actually such a shit app. Oh, like when Judge Man comes out and it's like a mirror of himself, kind of. Oh, it's so cool. Like, look at this. This is so interesting. And then the Easter eggs I was talking about, when he uses his domain. See if we can kind of catch them. I just use VLC, bro. Like, I don't know why I'm not. Okay, like, look what I mean. Like, what is this player? What is this player? I'm moving it, and it's like, no, you're not. Okay, I'm opening this shit in VLC. Give me a sec. No, I'm an idiot. I'm actually, oh my god, this is such a I'm throwing so hard, bro. Oh my god. Can you tell I haven't made a video in a while? Okay, so the first shot is of Oe's eyes, which is kind of the trigger point for Higuruma, causing him to go insane, basically. The next shot, I think, is the judge and prosecutor being killed. Yep, just them killed, which is interesting because they don't ever show them again. Ooh, was that Lady Justice? I think that was. Oh, these are sick, but I don't want to talk about those yet. Okay, let's see. Guy's getting killed. Lady Justice, but it's inverted, which I never actually noticed that. I wonder if it's meant to be kind of a representation of Higuruma turning back on his principles or doing the opposite of what he actually believes in. I don't know. I'm kind of fried to come up with a full-on explanation. This is just cool. This is like Judge Man in this like horror-esque style. Like, look at this. Like, this is horrifying. Is there anything else? I think we're good. No. Yeah, I think even still, this is probably the best directed episode. So, I don't know. Do I put it above Maki, though? I think I might, low-key. I don't know. We'll see. But this one I don't have to think about. This is my favorite episode. I wasn't lying when I said this is my favorite episode. Like, this is still my favorite episode. I don't think it's the best episode. And I'll get to what I mean by that in a second. It's just, this episode is everything I ever wanted to be. From music, from direction, from voice acting, from animation. I mean, I don't even have to go into like Nyan 41's cut of Yuji versus Higuruma. That shit was insane. But literally, as long as they nailed the moment of Yuji saying, admitting to, you know, killing everyone in Shibuya, it doesn't matter. Everything else does not realistically matter. Like the rest of the episode could have been a slideshow, but if this moment was done justice, in my opinion, it still would be like a top 5 episode, just because of how much I love this moment of Yuji. And this was kind of the moment I needed them to nail the most, because it kind of is the climax in a way of Yuji's character in this sort of arc, because after this episode we won't be seeing Yuji for a while. So this needed to hit, and I think it did, which is an incredible payoff for kind of post Shibuya season 2, and then of course all of season 3 leading up to this episode. It's perfect payoff. It's a perfectly directed, well, not directed. I mean, yes, it is a well-directed episode, but it's just a perfectly executed episode, and it is my favorite episode, but I don't think it's the best episode, and I'll try and explain what I mean by that once we get to the final episode. Episode 10, I mean, S tier. It's a fight. I might like it more than the Higuruma flashback. I think I do. It's just Takaba coming in, and that entire 40-second moment of them just, let me see if I have it. Okay, I guess I don't have it. Never mind. I don't know where I have the episode. I might not have my computer. Anyway, the moment of Takaba kind of bombing his joke, and then it's just 40 seconds into commercial break. That part gets me, and it still remains the most viewed episode review in my channel, which I think kind of shows that people really liked this episode, and I don't blame them one bit, because it's just very funny. The actual animation between Megumi and Reggie's fight is really good throughout the entire thing, and then the domain expansion is really good. Julian Bentley's cut is really good. All of it is really good, and Takaba just stole the show. There's a reason that I think you should invest in Takaba stocks. Now, the next episode, I think, is a step down visually. Is it better than 5? I don't know. I don't think I like it as much as 5. Maybe. I like the Megumi versus Reggie fight. It's just that I think, given what I know Keiichiro Watanabe is capable of, I feel like he didn't really show us that with his cut in this episode. And then I think Julian Bentley's final cut was a little too slow. Like, not slow, it was a little too short for how cool it was, you know? And then the actual, like, dog biting his shoulder off, I don't know, it didn't feel as impactful to me as it did in the manga. So there are certain moments in this episode that I just don't think put it on this upper echelon, but I do enjoy it more than the rest of these episodes, which is a shame, because I feel like Megumi should have gotten, like, on par with Yuji. Like, this episode I wish would have been here, you know? But unfortunately, that spot is only up for a big finale. And Look, I'm gonna be honest. I still think this episode is my favorite episode. Like, that doesn't change anything. However, I think this is the best episode. And I know that makes like no sense, or maybe it does, kind of just in your mind. But it's just that this episode was hype moments and aura, the episode, plus some really good like narrative storytelling. And I think I'm gonna make a video breaking down. I'm gonna make a second channel video breaking down like all the animation stuff that makes it so beautiful and why I think it's better than episode 4. But more importantly, I want to make a video talking about how this episode for the main channel, how this episode specifically makes me have this opinion of, I think JJK just understands the shonen genre very, very well. And that final moment of Yuta and Higuruma, fuck my life, what am I saying? Yuta and Ryu being out of cursed energy, but not out of options, and just battling it out, fist and kicks only. Ace with Aizo playing in the background, like that moment. I'm gonna, for the bigger video, I'm gonna have like reactors shown throughout the video, because it's so fun to see the reactions of people that are watching this show get to these moments. The triple way domain expansion, the Yuta kissing Kurorushi scene, you know, the final let it all out moment, the reveal that it was him using Uro's technique to redirect it down. Like, all of that stuff just gets so much praise by like all the anime only reactors that I've been seeing, that this episode is just, it's the best. It's the most fun I've had watching Jujutsu Kaisen all season, and it's definitely the one that I think people were talking about on Twitter for good reason. But in terms of like if you want my personal opinion, I think Yuji's episode is just better from like a content perspective. I think the actual narrative weight of this episode kind of hard clears the rest of them, save for the Maki episode. But it's just that like the hype is unmatched with this episode. So I think if you wanted me to say, it would be a toss up between these two. So that's kind of my list. I think I will probably do this for all of JJK once season 4 ends up airing, but it's already been 30 minutes for a fucking 12 episode season, and I've been trying to be brief, so who knows, maybe a full series tier list would be a bit brutal. And you might have noticed there's all the OPs here. Well, that's because the next video will be going over all of the OPs the same way I did for Aizo, so look forward to that. It's going to take a while because I think it's going to be a long video. And I am also working on Takaba versus Kenjaku. Trust me, I want to get this video out as well. It's just trying to sort of understand Japanese like comedy humor is just, it's a pain in the ass. Like every time I look at my script for Takaba versus Kenjaku, I sit there and I'm like, does this even make any sense? So it's coming, don't worry. You'll get it when you'll get it, okay? Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all probably tomorrow or later today. We'll see, where I go over all of Sendai animation-wise. Bye-bye.